Hello, beautiful Food Matters community. It is James here, and I'm excited to bring you another Food Matters certified health coach today in a live Q&A. Cheryl Wooster is my guest, and she is a specialist in depression and anxiety and weight loss and stress management and understanding how they all connect together. She is a certified health coach, plus she has extensively trained in functional medicine, and you can work one-on-one with Cheryl and find out more about how to do that from anywhere in the world remotely. This is the future of medicine. No longer do we have to go and drive in a car and go to a doctor's waiting room and sit there and read a 10-year-old Reader's Digest magazine. We can connect with experts digitally via technology such as this and consult with people all around the world such as Cheryl. And we've handpicked a select group of certified and qualified health coaches to help you transform your life and get from wherever you are now to where you want to be. So one of the first things I like to do on these live calls is hear from you guys and where you're all from in this beautiful world. I've got one lady here, Jeannie from the land of Oz. So I'm assuming that's Australia, not some fictional part of the world in a screenplay, and the Wizard of Oz. But anyway, my guest, Cheryl Wooster. Hey, Cheryl, how you doing?
Hey, I am doing good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to chat today because I think, we've had a few different calls this week with some other health experts, Food Matters health coaches, and we've covered topics such as gut health and celiac disease and autoimmune conditions. We've covered things like if you're turning over a new leaf in your life and starting something new, such as you've just become a new mom, or you're just trying to be a professional and a mom, or you've got all these challenges. How do you handle that? And today we're going to be talking a lot about stress and anxiety and depression and weight loss and how they all connect together. Before I get to my first question, I want to acknowledge everybody that's tuning in here. Jody Lee's from Winnipeg. Hey, you were here on the call the other day. Diana from Windsor, Canada. There's a couple of exclamation marks in there. Windsor, Ontario. Uh, Karen would like to learn more about gut health for autoimmune. We'll get to that today. Canada, there we go. Farmington, Connecticut, down under, Northern Colorado, Bronx, New York City, Manchester, Spring Hill, Florida, New Hampshire, it looks like, and Miami, Florida. So super, super, super exciting. So tell me, Cheryl, you've come to study a lot and we've spoken together before about your expertise, but explain to me a little bit and to people who are listening how you've come to specialize in that sort of anxiety, depression, weight loss, stress management sort of connection, how that's become a speciality of yours.
Definitely. Well, I think that, like a lot of wellness experts, it started at a time when I wasn't necessarily well. So, thinking about back to when I was growing up, uh, just to summarize my diet in this one statement, I was the person that in high school we watched that documentary Super Size Me, the one where he eats McDonald's for a month straight. And after that, I went to McDonald's for a snack, and I was just very unhealthy and just very, Reese's, Mountain Dew, all that kind of thing. So that led me to when I was in college, and I decided, I learned basically that myth of the freshman 15, not so much a myth if you're putting junk into your mouth. So that's what really, as vain as it may sound, encouraged me to major in health promotion and wellness and specialize in behavior and health. And then following that, I was still very curious, and that led me to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And here's where I really started to love and enjoy seeing how nutrition and food and all of the other components of wellness can have such a positive effect on our bodies. Because I think a lot of times when we think about food, we think of all of the negativities to it. And just seeing food in a different light was just very transformational for me. And then after graduating, I started my own practice, Balanced Bodies, and started working with people one on one. And there was something, it was wonderful, and people were seeing wonderful results, but there was still a little something that seemed to be missing. So, and order to stay true to my clients, to help get to more of the root cause of their problems, and also my own, I decided to study functional medicine. And here, it just allowed me to help people so much further. And I started to become very passionate about anxiety and depression and stress management. And
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't planning on actually talking about this. I've only mentioned it to a few people, but of something that got me very inspired to study functional medicine was my own personal health struggles just a year or two ago, honestly. And this is somebody that is very healthy. I ate kale, goji berries, exercised on a very regular basis. And from the outside, I looked very healthy, apparently. But because of my diet growing up, and well, from what I've learned in functional medicine, I was able to really assess why I wasn't feeling as great as I should be feeling. So because of my diet growing up, I learned that I was actually insulin resistant. And because of a period of very intense stress in my life, which is why I'm so excited to talk about stress management today,
Mm-hmm.
I had a really big hormonal imbalance. So the two of these together actually led to me developing PCOS, so polycystic ovary syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's very important to share that with everybody, just to show how big of a role stress really can play on our health, and that there's really the best time to start managing your stress is now, no matter what age you are, how old, how young, wherever you may fall in that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really what got me passionate about this.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it is a fascinating sort of journey when you start to study, and it's certainly I can share with you that same feeling of when you go deeper in nutrition, you start to realize that food is important, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but then the stress and the mind-body connection is so powerful, and can really, in some instances, trump that, trump the food in many cases. So to me, I guess I'd like to, before we go too much deeper into stress, I'd like to talk a little bit about anxiety and depression to start with, and then we can start looking at stress a little bit later in this conversation. We have an epidemic of depression and anxiety. I mean, right now, more than any other time in history, we have more people diagnosed with these conditions. We have more people on medications to treat these conditions. It's something that our family has experienced. My father was on antipsychotics, anti-anxiety, and antidepressant medication for a number of years. And these types of medications can be they're very strong, they're very powerful psychotropic drugs, and they can cause a lot of side effects. And I just know that there's tens of millions of people taking these medications. How do you sort of normally approach a client that comes to see you that might be on these medications, or at least suffering from severe anxiety or depression? What are the first steps you look at, and how would you sort of guide them through? For instance, if they were working with you one-on-one, how would you guide them through a process of starting to sort of heal or address some of the nutritional or mind-body approaches for such conditions?
Definitely. So first off, I want them to understand what they're putting into their body every day. So in regards to a lot of the anxiety and depression medications, so SSRIs, and what that actually is doing in our bodies. And so what that is basically is it's holding on to the serotonin in our brain and kind of prolonging it. So that can have a huge impact on our health if it's taken long term, because our bodies actually aren't going to be able to produce as much serotonin. So these drugs really, I completely understand and appreciate the need that for taking them for short periods of time when there's intense trauma in our lives. But I really think that first, a lot of times we're prescribed medications. We don't necessarily understand what they're doing to our bodies and all of the side effects. So we kind of go in depthly in talking about that to begin with. And then to start off, we start off with really assessing the individual person, because it's very different per person, and there's a lot of different root causes. Some can be very emotional triggers and traumas and life events that have happened. So a lot of times we start, just before we dive into the nutritional parts of it, we start with mindset, and a lot of just the belief in knowing that you deserve to feel happy, you deserve to feel vibrant and energetic and wonderful on a daily basis. And I think that that is the arguably the number one thing that we need to address, because I think that sometimes we can get very much into a slump per se, but we need to believe that the modality and the type of healing that we're choosing is effective. So just really starting with that belief in healing, and then diving into nutrition, starting to see food as a positive thing, seeing food as information that we're putting into our bodies. Because what we're eating and what we're putting on our skin, that is signaling to our bodies the status of our environment. So, not necessarily if you're in Australia or Vermont or North Carolina or wherever you may be, but the status of the nutritional item, the nutrition that your body is capable of getting, and all of that those wonderful things. So we talk about food, and primarily anti-inflammatory foods. So in regards to diet, really adding in as many omega-3s or healthy fats. You'll learn tonight, everyone, that I'm very, very much pro-fat and healthy fat, as I believe you are too, James.
Yes.
Definitely. So adding in lots of healthy fats, whether that be from wild-caught salmon or other wild-caught fish. Chia seeds and flax seeds are a couple of my favorite things, because you can just throw those in a smoothie, sprinkle them on salads, or if it's something that you're working with your children, those are the type of things that, don't tell them if they're watching this, but you can really sneak into a lot of different bakes and different dishes without them even realizing it. So omega-3s is a huge thing that I definitely address. And then also our good friend, vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of the top nutrient deficiencies nearly for every year that I can remember right now. So that is something that many of us are deficient in. So I highly encourage everybody watching, next time you're at the doctor, to get your vitamin D tested, and be very savvy and very aware too of this times of year that perhaps you aren't getting as much sunlight. So for example, right now, I know we can chat about the term seasonal affective disorder, because I know that has become a popular name. And I know that that's also something that is argued among a lot of medical professionals, if that's an accurate diagnosis or not. But we won't even get in there, because a diagnosis is often, it's a name. What matters is addressing the symptoms and getting you back to feeling fantastic. So a huge part of that in seasonal affective disorder, which is basically when people feel those winter blues or don't really feel that great in the wintertime, is a lack of vitamin D. So it's when we're not getting enough sunlight exposure. And this is very important, especially for people for example, in the states up in New England, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, because we are not getting exposure to the sunlight. And it's so far away in the sky that even if you're skiing up in Vermont and you get sunburned in the middle of January, the sun's so far away that you're actually still not getting the vitamin D from that. So it's really critical this time of year to get your levels checked from your doctor, and potentially most people, it's recommended to supplement with vitamin D, and if not supplementing, then
So let's talk a little bit about moving on to like stress and stress management and how we transition that. And I think what's really important, you brought up vitamin D, because, I know Dr. McCullough has published some research on this saying that if you have low levels of vitamin D, you can increase your cancer risk by 60%. I mean, this is a really, really significant thing to work on. So if anybody thinks they're suffering from seasonal affective disorder, or they're just got the winter blues, or they're not feeling so well, I would really encourage them to click on the link in this video, find out more about how they can work with you, because it's something that can get out of control. I know that, you know, people experience depression and anxiety in such a personal way. My father's anxiety was different to somebody else's anxiety, you know, and really it does need a holistic approach, looking at, well, what are your nutrient levels like? What's your nutrition like? And then looking at what's your environment like in terms of, are you stressed out? Are there relationship stresses? Are there work stresses? So tell me a little bit about how you've sort of moved into stress in your sort of practice and working one-on-one with people, and how you sort of help to identify if people are stressed out, or if stress has been a big implication in their sort of diagnosis with some sort of chronic illness.
Definitely. And, you know, to be honest, stress is something I address in nearly all of my clients, because I think it's just so prevalent in today's society. And if everyone watching, you know, just kind of give me a thumbs up here if you relate to this, or if perhaps you find yourself stressed out on a daily basis. Right?
I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't, right? I mean, stress is the nature of humanity. And I think that low level stress can help to encourage us to like move through things and find new strength. But sometimes chronic levels of stress that are constantly can just cause us to be worn out.
Exactly. And in regards to stress, and I find that to achieve optimal health, it really can be broken down into 3 different categories. So the first category is to maximize. We want to maximize what each person needs in their own unique body. So that's in regards to nutrients like vitamins, minerals, oxygen, water, and positive beliefs that what you're doing to heal is going to work. And so then the next step would be to minimize. So we want to minimize what is harming each person's unique body. So this is something like allergens and toxins and sensitivities, like food sensitivities and negative beliefs. But the third step in this model that I follow when I assess a client's symptom questionnaire is the prioritize part, which is to prioritize an environment for healing. And I find very often that this is something that we honestly as a population just kind of don't necessarily do. And when I say prioritize an environment for healing, I'm talking about stress management and self-care and sleep and fostering positive relationships and laughter and all of those things. So that's definitely something that it goes hand in hand with nutrition. It's, you know, nutrition's not a hat. It doesn't, one size doesn't fit all. And it isn't also one thing. It's not one micronutrient or one macronutrient that's magically going to make us feel vibrant, energetic, and well. And so it's really addressing that whole picture. And when we're at ease with ourselves and we're able to manage our stress better, then I think it really just helps a lot of other things just fall into place.
Wonderful. Agree. And, you know, when I look at my dad's transformation, he was for 5 years on 6 different medications, anxiety, depression, etc. And chronic fatigue syndrome. When he had his sort of healing epiphany, it wasn't just because we put the nutrients in. It wasn't just because we took the bad stuff out, which is your first 2 steps, right? Like maximize the good stuff, minimize the bad stuff. But then this third component was like stress, which I also would put into that, like mind, body, stress, and the connection between all these non-sort of food, non-biochemical elements. And when that was in check, that's when everything happened. You know, that's when his healing took place. And yeah, it was a really powerful transformation. Let me acknowledge some of the people that have been tuning in. There's a lot of people saying, hi, Cheryl, nice to see you. They must know you. Naomi, thanks so much for your comment. Hi, James, I love your work. Keep it up. You're so inspiring. Thank you very much. It means so much to us here. Lucinda, hi from Indiana. Kitty, hi from Virginia. Melissa, good information. Julie's tuning in from Vancouver Island, BC. How amazing. That's so cool. Lizzie, love Food Matters. Thank you. Brenda, hi from South Carolina. Vasilis, sounds like a Greek name there, potentially, talking about, I find myself putting Skittles into my body. Well, that's hilarious. And she says, my anxiety levels soar when I'm in a supermarket at the checkout line and I see a bag of Skittles. I mean, this is a big thing for a lot of people. Annie writes, yes, Cheryl is an amazing coach and I'd highly recommend her. That's so sweet. Patricia writes, I live in Florida. I have a melanoma, so I need to hide from the sun. I have to supplement with vitamin D. Well, look for high source vitamin D foods as well. Maybe, Cheryl, what sort of foods would you recommend that are high in vitamin D, or do you strictly recommend supplementation? How do you go about that with a client that's low in vitamin D?
Definitely. Well, in regards to vitamin D, the way that our bodies are designed to get vitamin D is from the sun, and we can only actually get about 10% of vitamin D from food. So I didn't used to be a huge person with supplementation, but I think to achieve optimal health, a lot of times we have to utilize food, but also supplementation. So, and the thing about vitamin D supplements is they're really not expensive. They're very inexpensive. And just one comment on that, when we are supplementing with vitamin D, to make sure that we're supplementing with vitamin D3 and not vitamin D2, because a lot of our bodies have trouble converting that D2 to D3. So just kind of sidestepping past that and starting with D3.
Nice. Laura also writes, Cheryl helped me get to the root of many of my anxiety triggers. Definitely recommend chatting with her and seeing how she can help. That's so sweet. Sharon makes an interesting comment here, and I want to bring it up. She says, I still think there is a place for medication. I've seen meds help lift a person from despair and suicidally to wanting to live. Even if there is a lingering serotonin or dopamine in the synapse, sometimes it is a solution for a time. And can I just empathize with Sharon there? And I'm sure that Cheryl's doing the same, nodding her head here, that, I agree. I think that medication can be amazing. And we've seen medication as it's advanced over the years, since really the first inceptions of antibiotics, and how powerful that was to save so many people. One of the challenges and problems we have now, I believe, in the medical sort of system is that we have drug companies targeting people that have diseases of lifestyle because they're not eating well, they're not looking after themselves, and trying to get them on medication for the rest of their life, which is very profitable for the drug companies and not so great for the individual long term. Some of the medical doctors I've worked with suggest that taking medication and even supplements, you should treat it as if it's the same as a crutch. When you've got a broken leg, you use a crutch until the leg's better. Once the leg's better, you walk on it. Medication and supplementation, we can see in a similar fashion, I believe. We can use them in a way to transition out of something that is causing us an immediate level of pain or challenge, so that we can then address, in the meantime, some of the underlying causes, so that we can transition off those medications over time. Cheryl, I'd be interested to see your approach on this and hear from you on this point.
Oh, I could not agree more with what you said. I think that it is very, very important for many people for immediate triage, and it is definitely necessary. And I'm by no means against medication. I just think that the prolonged use of it is very beneficial to take a second look at food, look at perhaps different lifestyle factors, like you mentioned, to help for more long-term healing.
Great. Awesome. So I've got a couple of other sort of shout outs here. Siobhan says, hi from Brisbane. Carly writes, this is also intriguing to me. I'm currently going to school for nutrition and love holistic medicine. I love to learn all I can. Thank you for this. Elise is watching from Nashville. Sharon says, thanks for addressing this. No problems. You're welcome. Thanks for asking the question. I love this format where we can be as open as possible and share so we can all learn. Dan writes, and this is a really interesting question. I love the video so far, guys. Very helpful and informative. I have a question for Cheryl. I am super busy and work all day, working very long hours. What can I do to help with stress that won't take up loads of time? And almost as a PS here, he says, I don't like yoga or meditation. So Cheryl, over to you on that one. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. And excellent question. I'm really glad that you asked that, because I think that when it comes to managing our stress, we often see, especially when we're scrolling on social media, we see self-care and stress management in the forms of always yoga or meditation or perhaps bubble baths and things like that. And that doesn't resonate or relate with everybody, and I completely appreciate that. And so one of my favorite approaches to help manage our stress is something simple that everyone can do throughout the day, no matter where you are. And we can even start doing it right now if everyone's interested. And that is just a simple little breathing technique. So, and please everyone join me in this, is take a deep breath and breathe in for 5 seconds. Pause for 1. And breathe out for 5 seconds. And do this upon rising, before you go to bed, and before you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Repeat that 5 times in a row. So just in for 5 seconds, pausing for 1, and out for 5 seconds. And that is not only going to help relax your mind, but it actually helps to relax your body and bringing you back into that parasympathetic nervous system state, so which is your rest and digest state. So doing this before eating is actually going to help your body to be able to digest your food better. And this is something that you can do on your commute to work. Something you can do on your way to a meeting. And really, I love doing this first thing in the morning. And I've had feedback from clients on this as well, is it really just helps you to get grounded and set your intentions for the day.
Fantastic feedback. And Dan, I hope that was helpful for you. I know that this exercise takes very little time, and we just did it live right then. So great. I guess I have Sharon writes, such a great question. Yoga and meditation isn't the only answer. This is cool. 5 times a day will create a habit. So great feedback there. I'd like to just ask you a little bit about how you work with clients, and obviously they can find out more about that. And with the Food Matters coaching platform, we offer a 3-call pack where people can sign up and have a 3-call pack with you, which means that they do their extensive onboarding, which is a huge checklist process. It doesn't take too long, but it gives you a lot of intel about the client, so that when you get onto that first call, a lot of the work's done, so that you can start from the first minute they got on the call. It's like, great, I think I know you quite well. Let's ask some more clarifying questions and get to know you a little bit better, so we can start to get to the prescriptive nature of helping people with specifically what they need. And I think people present with so many different problems, and it's someone might have depression, anxiety, and someone else might have depression, anxiety, but how they got it, their case studies, their history, the environment they're in is so radically different. So their healing protocols are going to be radically different. So tell me how it works and how you tune in. Lizzie's writing, are the coaching sessions on Skype? Yes, they are. They're via video calling. So tell me how you sort of start with a client, how you look at their onboarding documentation, what you look for in that information, then how you sort of take them through these first 3 calls to starting to get real results in people's lives, and what time frame can people expect to start to see results, depending obviously in their case. I'd love to hear from you on that.
Yeah, definitely. So what happens is, like you said, you'll intake questionnaire. And what I do is I review this very thoroughly and in-depthly prior to meeting, so I can get a really good sense of possible interconnectedness within your body and see how your symptoms may be related to things like nutritional deficiencies, potential lifestyle changes that we can work together to help you make, and things like that. So I get a good sense of interconnectedness, and then we meet either via phone or via Skype. And I love doing it via Skype so I can always see your beautiful faces. And we chat and I get to know you better. So I ask you some clarifying questions and we really get down to the root cause and help discover what's actually going on in your body that's causing you to feel that low energy, or that's making it so difficult for you to lose weight or to really get where you want to be. So we chat and we decide, first off, we decide at what pace you're comfortable going. And I have some clients that like to move really fast and make a lot of changes all at once. And I have others that like to move slower and just do a couple of things at a time. And either way, it is all good. We do what is right for you and we create a plan based on that. So we figure out your ultimate goals and we take a step-by-step approach to get you there. And usually we meet every other week, sometimes once a month. And we also set up a plan to hold, so I can help hold you accountable and give you support in between sessions via emails and handouts and guides and whatever it might be for your own unique situation, just to help you get where you would like to be, back to that place of vibrant health and energy and where you deserve to be.
Yeah, so wonderful. And I think, what I'm so excited about, I mean, getting to help collaborate with you to help you connect with more clients through the Food Matters community and start this process happening, is because I think we share a belief that the future of medicine is going to be happening outside the sort of mainstream medical fraternity. For so many years, medicine has really gone from sort of accident and emergency and critical care, which is so important. But there's so many issues we're suffering from right now, which are related to how we eat, how we think, how we live. And there is, medical journals that support a lot of this thesis and hypothesis. And if you look at the sort of top 10 reasons that we pass away on planet Earth, or that we die from, most of those are related back to how we eat, how we think, and how we live. They're diseases of lifestyle. And these types of diseases of lifestyle are really best suited to be treated for people who specialize in lifestyle change, such as health coaches, such as someone who's studied functional medicine like yourself, someone who's studied stress management, and being able to holistically look at your life and say, well, great, you can go be put on a medication, but then really, have we even started to look at where you're stressed out? Or maybe you've gone through a serious divorce, or there's been a huge stress in your life, and that's caused this upset, or that's caused the degradation of your immune system. So I'm so excited that you get to work with patients in this way. Cheryl, can you share with me a story maybe of someone that you've worked with that had an incredible result working with you, how long it took them, and what was the sort of transformation you were able to help facilitate with them?
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. All right. So there was one woman I worked with this past year, and I love this story for a few different reasons. So when we first met, she came to me, she was, I believe, in her 30s. And when she came to me, she wasn't very excited to be seeing me, which I did not take offense to, because she had tried a lot of things in the past that had not worked. And she was really wanting to lose weight, and she was very stressed out, and she was on medication, I believe, for high blood pressure. And I believe she was diagnosed pre-diabetic at the time. But she wasn't very excited about it. And something that was holding her back actually was that her husband wasn't supportive of her. And that nearly broke my heart, because you could see she was very beaten down by it. But we talked our first session and came up with a game plan for her to talk to her husband and get him on board, because we need a good support system, all around us. We really want to foster those positive relationships. And so she came back to me in 2 weeks, and not only was her husband on board, but he was doing it with her. He was up for making the healthy changes with her. So all of a sudden they started going on all of these hikes and adventures that they just had never done before. So their relationship was at a whole nother level. She was losing weight by the changes that we worked on together and just feeling great. And I remember this is when I was meeting with clients in person too, and she showed me how big her pants were on her, and she had gone down quite a few pant sizes. And so this story is beautiful, but it gets even better because she has a 17-year-old son, and she didn't really talk too much about him until I remember very clearly our second to last session together. He said, last night my son came to me and said, Mom, and
wait 1 second. Cheryl, you just cut out a little bit there. Can you repeat that last bit where you said her 17-year-old son came to you and said, can you just repeat that? Because I didn't hear it. And I'm assuming that other people might have missed that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So her 17-year-old son came to her and said, Mom, I'm not the fat kid anymore. Because he saw what Mom was doing. He saw what Dad was doing. He was trying all of these new foods that were healthy that he had no idea. He saw Mom and Dad going for little jogs together and hikes, and he wanted to join in on the fun. And without even meaning to, he lost a significant amount of weight as well. And the same 17-year-old boy that wouldn't go swimming on actually tried out for the high school swim team and made it. And I just love this story because it just goes to show how just one person taking a positive action on their health, how that can affect all of them for now and for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, what an incredible story. And it does go to show, and it's something that I've certainly experienced in the sort of 10 to 15 years that I've been in this space, is that one person's health transformation can cause a ripple effect and have an effective procession on other people's lives that you really cannot fully understand. And I think that there are so many people out there that are also caregivers or supporting people that are going through health challenges, and their lives suffer in a way because they have to give up their life in order to help support other people. And it's such a noble cause. But when this person heals themselves, then it can help liberate the whole family from a lot of suffering. One of the questions we've just had come through, and it might be for you, and I can certainly let you pass on this one if you want. It could be more for someone who's got more of a hormone speciality, such as maybe Jody, for instance, who was on earlier in the week. But Maria writes, I love the video so far. My question is in endocrine health. So it's very much around hormones. And I have no thyroid. I take natural thyroid hormone daily. But what foods can I take to feel optimal? And that's a tough question, and maybe it needs to be more handled in a one-on-one environment. But I'd love any sort of feedback you have on this topic.
I would definitely love to, so we can really assess what nutrients you're lacking. But in general, when it comes to thyroid health, selenium, huge, iodine and zinc, and ways that we can get this. Maria, are you a fan of seaweed salad, perhaps?
Seaweed let's see if she writes back.
Yeah. That is honestly, that's a wonderful way to get this. And when it comes to a lot of times, we're very deficient in selenium. And a simple way to get more selenium in your diet is just 3 Brazil nuts every single day. So those are just a couple food related things to think about. But then that's definitely something that I would want to look at more one-on-one and see exactly what was going on, type of thing.
Great. She writes here, I haven't tried it. So there you go. And I think what's so fascinating and so exciting about nutritional therapy, natural therapies, functional medicine is that we embody this ideology that food is medicine. So if something is deficient, if something is not wrong, like for instance, selenium deficiency or selenium deficiency, depending on how you say it, where we have a deficiency in selenium in soils globally. So there's no selenium in the soils, which means it's not getting into the plants, which means we're not getting it in our bodies. So we have, as cultures, a lack of this particular mineral. So how do we get it? You said it. Brazil nuts and seaweed are two great food sources of selenium and the iodine, you know, those two key nutrients and minerals that you're talking about. So it's really about that common sense approach to it, but also one of the things that you did mention is the element of biochemical individuality, really understanding your individual case, working one-on-one with somebody so that they can go deeper into understanding how to apply it in their particular life. So Lizzie writes here, where can we find info on the cost of Food Matters Health Coach sessions? I'm in the States. Great question. So simply in the details of this video, just click on the link and you'll go to the Health Coach's website page on the Food Matters website. And then down the bottom, you can see a little form where it says go to browse the coaches, and you'll see all the coaches we have globally. And inside those list of coaches, we've got a varying range of costs. So from really affordable to a little bit more expensive, depending on the speciality or the illness or the case. You know, there's a question here from Marcia saying, when it comes to cancer, do you encourage people to go to holistic and alternative healing? Or do you tell them to stick with traditional Western medicine? It's hard because what if it doesn't work out? You can be blamed for encouraging them. Look, this is the biggest challenge of our time, you know, dealing with serious chronic degenerative disease. And to me, it has to be considered on a case-by-case basis and has to be considered based on the belief systems and the value and really the energy and the intention of the client and the patient. One of my close friends, Chris Walk from Chris Beat Cancer, and some of the health coaches here do specialize in helping people that are going through cancer therapy. Of course, you need to be working with a consulting oncologist as well. But one of the points he made is that you can't drive a car from the passenger seat. I think it's a fascinating comment because if someone's going through an illness, you can't sort of direct their healing protocol. It has to be them. So my first thing, Marcia, when you're asking this question, and I'm sort of saying this with Cheryl here as well, is the first step would be to have them watch a lot of documentaries, you know, on Food Matters TV or FMTV. We have a lot of documentaries about cancer therapies, natural approaches, some of the dangers of mainstream or conventional therapies, so that this person can have a really deep understanding about the whole landscape of what's available to a cancer patient and get some understanding about how they might want to approach it themselves. If you can then start to affect somewhat of a belief system shift in this person, then you're able to lead them more towards being open to considering and crafting an approach that they want to take. Some people, when they're posed with all this information, are like, I don't care. I do not want to go down conventional therapy. I just want to do the natural route. Some people say, I don't want to do the natural route. I just want to do the conventional route. Some people say, I want to do both. And all of them are right because it's what's right for them. You know, and I believe that a lot of healing really takes place in the mind before the body. And we really have to help bring people to a place of developing potentially more positive belief systems around healing. Because sometimes my father, for instance, he believed that only a drug would help him and that his body just had to work with the drug and it would work itself. Then he changed his belief system to one that was more of the fact that he believed that my body has an innate healing capacity and I have to input the right foods, the right nutrients, and that will support my body's own healing capacity. And that's what happened for him. He changed his diet and he healed himself. So I think that there's a lot that happens in the mind first, in speaking with experts, in getting more information, in watching some documentaries. Go to FMTV, just look at the documentary section, go to cancer, or go to the I want to category, scroll across. You can see everything from weight loss to start an edible garden, to improve my yoga practice, to explore alternative cancer treatment options. have a look at that, get inspired, get some more information, then start seeking out practitioners such as Cheryl or some of the other ones in the Food Matters that specialize more in cancer, and then take it step by step. And I think that's a really important place to start. Cheryl, I'm going to go back to you now. There's a lot of people talking here about so many different questions. My fish oil's got caramel coloring. What do you think about Panchakarma and the Ayurvedic principles for healing and detoxification? Lots of interesting stuff. I really want to just circle back to you and hear from you in this last moment. Like, what's your biggest wish for people that come and work one-on-one with you? What are you really trying to achieve in their lives? And yeah, what's your purpose for being here and helping with people?
Oh, definitely. My mission is just for people to become educated and become empowered in their bodies and believe in themselves, because we all deserve to feel vibrant and fantastic and have bounds of energy. And optimal health doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that a lot of media these days makes it feel like it has to be complicated. It really doesn't. So just becoming exposed and educated to certain principles that resonate with you and that relate to you, so that you're able to live life without having to diet and without having to worry about what you're eating or drinking, and for it to come as a habit and naturally and joyfully as well. So that's my wish, is for people just to be able to live their lives happily and simplistically without even having to really give dieting and health really that second thought that I think that a lot of times, especially in this modern day, it has become, and I don't want to use the word obsession, but it's just become a very huge norm in our day-to-day life.
Wonderful. Cheryl, it's been awesome chatting with you. I'm so grateful that together we get to help bring this message to more people. It's just, I think we live in an incredible time in history where people from anywhere in the world can connect with you, chat with you, whether they're in Bahrain or in France or in Ontario, Canada, or just around the corner from you, or Australia or Asia, and can connect with you, ask questions, get real results in their life. And I think this is the future of healthcare. This is the future of medicine. And my wish and mission is that we can have more people getting real results by working one-on-one with people like yourself. So Cheryl, thanks so much for your time today. It's been great chatting. And any final thoughts? I'd love to let you finish with that.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much I had so much fun today. And like I said, just keep fostering that positive belief that you deserve to feel vibrant, you deserve to feel well, and that vision you have, that visualization you have of yourself in 10 years playing with your children, or in 15 years running around with your grandchildren, it wouldn't be possible. You wouldn't be allowed to have that vision if it weren't a possibility and if you didn't deserve to live that vibrant life. So I can't encourage you enough to believe in yourself and to take action now and take those first steps to start feeling better.
Awesome. Fantastic, Cheryl. You've done an epic job today. Great live call. And thanks to everybody for all your comments and from tuning in all around the world. It's been great. Have an awesome day. Ciao for now.
Bye, everybody.